Assalamu alaikum and welcome everyone to another episode of you know what it is. In case of propaganda, in case of empire, break glass. I'm joined by my co-host Walaa. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I'm good. I'm good. I think that is the first time you didn't say thanks for joining me. That's
I'm used to interviewing people,
where we're
so it's
improving.
like
We're getting there.
natural. But I've been really enjoying these podcasts. They're almost therapeutic. I do a lot of research. I go through a lot of information throughout the week, and I need to let out all the stuff that I'm learning. So it's great to talk to you about it. And you know how it is. We
Absolutely.
got a gauntlet to go through today.
As always, a lot to get through. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's a good space to like draw these connections. Oftentimes you're seeing things in different areas of your life and then you put them together into like a big picture, which is I kind of hope what we're doing when we present these podcasts. So yeah, let's get right into
And
it.
you
What do you got
see it
for us?
even when you're collecting individual stories and you're laying them out, you start seeing the flow of it and how one starts moving into the other. And that's been pretty interesting as well. And the other thing is, we try to bring in a little bit of that Islamic and Muslim perspective to some of the stories where you don't really get anywhere else. So I hope that that's adding value to some people, even to people that are not Muslim, that they could still see the Islamic perspective on a lot of the topics that are being discussed right now in politics and news around the world. So let's get right into it. And one of the funny stories that have been going on right now, I thought it started off light. Have you seen this before? What is happening on Fox News? What is going?
I have, is he protecting his identity? What on earth is happening there?
I think they're just pretending, or they're trying to. Here, I'm seeing tons of people claim studio lighting. I don't know, man. I work in a studio. I watch loads of new hits. Never seen anything close to that. And then people were showing like how he actually looks like. This is what he looks like, and this is what was on Fox. So, it looks a little bit different, right?
Is this like a case of like face filters gone wrong?
I don't know. I think in the this is so good. It goes with that
Yeah.
short we released part of the podcast where it's on he's the one
It's
driving the car
always
in
Netanyahu,
White
guys,
House. He's
behind
the one wearing the
everything.
mask. You think if we did that to Trump too, maybe he's wearing a mask?
Wallah.
God. So you'll see, yeah, a lot of people here. What's going on here? Oh, this is the whole segment, completely unedited.
Yo, if that's his actual face, I actually feel so bad, man. Guy's becoming a meme and a parody in real time. But I mean, like, maybe ease off on the filters because he looks flattened into a mask, literally.
That is so funny. God, live TV says hold my green screen. Anyway, I thought that was really funny. I saw a commercial on one of the posts that had this because this was going around a lot, and they had a commercial for masks for people, and they were showing different masks. People were putting them on, and they looked like that. Now, I don't know if that was AI or something. Like, I didn't have time to obviously look into what kind of masks there are for people to wear, but is it possible? I don't know. They were costing $1,000, they said, and they were pretty good. So they said, imagine what kind of technology they have for like Fox if they actually wanted to pull something like this off. So I don't know.
Seriously. Reminds me of
So
the
that
movie Face Off for some reason. Do you
no,
remember the
this is like
movie?
pure Mission Impossible, right?
Oh, yeah, 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 with the whole, oh my God. I
And
need
I
me a
think there
glass
was
of
a meme
water.
of that too, where somebody showed him pulling it off, and it was Tom Cruise.
Sometimes the internet does the best things, okay?
Honestly. So yeah, that was the first one here. What we're gonna get into now is again something that we've talked about a little bit, just like the absurdity of the empire and their brazen disregard for anything really that has anything to do with life or civility. But this is Donald Trump.
And that's why he's in. Hey, by the way, how did we do in Venezuela? Not bad. That's why he's in. We've taken out so much oil in Venezuela, we paid for the cost of the war about 25 times over. When did you hear that last? It's a one-way street. But no, and that's why.
So there you go. He's telling you how it is. And I've talked about this. I think we've talked about it as well. which is it's part of the plan, right? When you talk about no president was stupid enough to go into Iran. No, they weren't not stupid enough. They were preparing to go into Iran. That's why they went after Iraq. That's why they went after Syria. That's why they went after Yemen and so on, right? That's why they took out Imran Khan in Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
It's all part of this plan. And why'd they go after the oil in Venezuela? Because I guess maybe they knew that this choke was going to happen in the Strait of Hormuz, which was a natural reaction for Iran when being attacked, that they had another source of oil. But I wanted to point out the 3 months the Pentagon says that the war has cost $29 billion. So to cover 25 times $29 billion would be about what, $725 billion. So the US would have had to extract and sell over 10 billion barrels of oil in just a few months,
Which
which
I'm
is
sure they've done, according to Donald Trump, right?
it makes sense.
They've
I guess.
exceeded that impossible quota by leaps and bounds. Greatest ever, sold the most oil ever.
Well, you saw how Trump heals people.
Oh, yeah, anything is possible when with the
It's
Messiah.
possible.
I mean,
But
like, this is such a pathetic attempt to. His ratings are tanking, bro. People are extremely angry about the cost of oil, the fact that this war is not wrapping up despite it being like a quick in and out. This it's so desperate that do you remember what we did in Venezuela? It was amazing. I'm the greatest ever. Remember?
I mean, it operates like a crime syndicate. It's a transnational crime syndicate. The global south is treated as a financial supply to bankroll aggression against the rest of the world, and specifically the Middle East and Iran. It's a crime syndicate.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I
we
wouldn't say
caught,
specifically the Middle East and Iran. I think those are, I mean, I think American imperialism and the empire extends far beyond that. Africa would not be
oh yeah, 100%.
way that it is right now. South America would not be the way that it is right
But they
now if
haven't dropped as much bomb. I mean, they have a lot of control over that. But when you talk about like actual bombing and destruction, I think Africa and West Asia are the two that stand out.
definitely. I think there's different forms of aggression that they take in different areas, but it all amounts to one and the same thing, right? Which is
Mhm.
this mindset of I reign supreme and I own everything and I take what I want and there are no consequences.
Well, what you're saying is perfect because this is like the colonial mindset that I was about to mention, which is you see how they approach it. It's approached in a way that Venezuela is keeping their own oil. That's not right. This is our oil. They stole our oil. It's like it's their own energy, pocket that they don't have access to. How is that possible? How dare Venezuela nationalize its own oil or use its oil to help its own people? It
100%.
belongs to us.
Yeah, it's that entitlement and obviously more than just that. I mean, what this does, what it amounts to is the crippling of entire nations. America's rise, it's predicated on that every other nation is crippled one way or another. And how do you cripple a nation? So many different ways, but one of them being take their natural resources, right? Exploit them, take their sons and take their money and put them in extreme debt and poverty and have them I mean, like you mentioned this multiple times, the sanctions that the US imposes, it's another weapon in the arsenal of the empire. The sanctions never hurt the governments. Bashar al-Assad never suffered under the sanctions. Neither did Khomeini. It's the people that suffer under these sanctions. And it's all to cause unrest.
And they openly boast about it. They want to put pressure on the population for them to revolt against our government.
Of course, absolutely, yeah. Because they know people who are hungry, who are desperate, they look to their governments. So were they going to go take a boat and make it to America to demand that the sanctions be lifted?
So the next point here I'm going to show is I haven't read it. I mean, I haven't watched the video, but I've read everything. So we'll watch a little bit of this together and see
An
where it
interesting
goes.
setup.
Should say, which is the accusation that we are the most intolerant or places that are defined by racism and slavery
So he's talking about the West here.
and all of this other stuff is not just false, It's the exact inversion of the truth.
Wonder what kind of people have tactics like this.
It's the exact inversion of the truth. It's the exact opposite of the truth. I debate these people all the time, right? I say to them, whether it's TV or whatever, and I say to them, look, even behind closed doors, I will say this to people: you're a black woman, or you're a this, or you're a that. Where would you rather
You're a black woman. All right, thanks for letting us
Or
know.
this or that. Yeah.
live than in Britain or Canada or America or Australia or New Zealand, like 5 countries?
By the way, I love this. I love this argument. I love it. It's perfect.
I'm sure I've forgotten some. But it's not many countries, and they're all Western countries, right? So if you would rather live somewhere else, name me. Is it China? Is it Russia? Is it Japan? Where are these beautiful places full of tolerance and all of this?
Do you know any other beautiful places?
No, the rest of the world is butt ugly. Tell
We
me
have
you
the
have
best of the very
your
thing
little island, Yani, in your life. Continue how tolerant you are, yes, please.
accused of being terrible at. The same with slavery. Slavery existed in the entire world, and then the West ended it.
Well, this
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
out of the goodness
The
of your heart,
cause
you
of
are
and
like,
solution to all our problems, the West.
country,
This
We
country
ended it.
specifically.
out of the goodness of their hearts, Ahmed, they were just like, all right, black folk in America that we brought over on slave ships, you are free. Huh.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Yallah.
Right?
White
voluntarily,
people.
Voluntarily.
without bloodshed. Well,
Right.
a lot of pain for the slaves, but without the bloodshed of the
Yeah.
Civil War.
That doesn't mean that slavery
America had.
is defendable, but what is that's not what you have to defend. The accusation should be you. Why were you the first empire to end slavery? If there's an accusation to be made, if there's an inquiry.
So I think we could see what the argument being made here is. Let's see what this
Really?
guy
Because
was.
I kind of felt like that was word salad.
What if the West isn't the villain they told us? We've spent years accepting accusations about racism, intolerance, and slavery without challenging the bigger historical reality. Okay, let's hear this historical reality. I'm very curious. The societies most condemned today are also the ones that led the world in ending slavery, expanding rights, and building the most tolerant nations on earth. That's the conversation nobody wants to talk about it.
It's so much easier, Ahmed, for us coming from the uncivilized, intolerant part of the world to hate on, these amazing nations. I mean, you can call it jealousy, possibly, like we just can't stand the fact that they're better than us. And so that's why we have conversations about slavery and colonialism. And we never talk about, what the great things they accomplished, like ending slavery. He has a really good point here. Why is nobody talking about all the amazing things the West has done? What's wrong with us?
Will somebody please think of the West?
Honest
Will
to
somebody
God,
please give them their just due?
it must
They're
be
the
so
oppressed ones
hard.
here.
It must be so hard to live life constantly being painted as the villain.
So I want to show you a response by somebody on X to this, which I thought was, again, I like sharing these things. So Sony Tang, he says, Constantine, you asked a black woman where she'd rather live than in Britain, America, or Canada. Let's take Britain as your example of tolerant slavery ending Western excellence. Britain did not end slavery voluntarily. Britain ended the
What?
Atlantic. Yeah, this might be a shock to some people. Britain ended the Atlantic slave trade in 1807 after decades of organized abolitionist pressure, slave rebellions across the Caribbean, most consequentially Haiti in 1791, and the growing calculation that wage labor was becoming more economically efficient than chattel slavery in certain contexts. When Britain abolished slavery in its colonies, like even look at this sentence that you got to say, in 1833, it paid $20 million in compensation, not to the enslaved, to the enslavers. The
They were
people who had
losing
been,
their labor.
so the people who had been working and beaten and raped and bred like livestock for generations, they received nothing. Their enslavers received the equivalent of $17 billion in today's money funded by British taxpayers. So a debt so large that the British citizen was still paying it off in 2015. You read that correctly. So this is how they like take something like disgusting and they try to make it look like a unicorn or like a fairy tale. You, it's just like, wow, look at how great we are. I had a story that I have saved and we will talk about, if not today, on the next podcast, but just about in 1953, about how, I don't know if I want to give it away, but basically it's about racism in the US in 1953. And somebody went to jail for 15 years just for helping Black people move into a house that was in a white neighborhood. So I wanted to share that story. And that was just, what, 75 years ago. And you got people like this guy wanting you to like thank them. Like, thanks for dropping all these bombs on our countries and making them uninhabitable and forcing us to move to Canada and the US. Trust me, a lot of people do not want to move here. They'd rather stay in their homes, in their home country, in their homeland.
And like that the response that you posted was amazing. But 100%, the people, many of the people that came here, most notably that comes to mind being our African American brothers and sisters, they didn't come here by choice, bro. They did not get what, like, would you like to, move and work in this new land and opportunity? I'm sure and I'm positive that had it not been for the meddling of the empire, we would have all been happy to stay in our countries. And every time someone tells me go back home, I want to be like, bro, if you would kindly F off my home, I would not be here. Okay. But now we're in a situation where we're like, where the hell do we go, Ahmed? Or where do we go? Right?
Honestly,
Where do we go?
I
I
love to
mean,
travel. Like, I've been to a lot of countries and I would like to spend time in other countries. Can you guys stop bombing them so I could go around and check some of these places out?
bro, I'm
And I
not
know
even
they think
talking
that the
about
whole world is
I'm not
Europe.
even talking about travel. Like, there is a part of me that, especially, like, knowing that I'm a settler, right? I came as a refugee, but I'm also settling on stolen land. This is not, I love Canada. I love being Canadian. I've been here my whole life. But there's a part of me that's like, this identity was made through the expulsion and genocide of a people that it unsettles me because I feel like that is exactly what's happening in Palestine. Like, the parallels, this is what happened, in all the settler colonies. That, no, I am Syrian, my husband is Palestinian. We could move and live there quite happily, actually. Probably, I mean, we speak the language. It's a beautiful, bro. The weather, okay, the weather. I'm so sick of snow, man. Okay, I'm so
I
sick
like
of
the
snow.
snow. I'm sorry, I like the snow
I
personally.
loved snow once upon a
But
time.
in
I'm
Lebanon,
too
there are
old for
places that snow, so I'd
I
be
know.
okay there.
No, okay? No, no. I want beaches, okay? I want tropical paradise. I want blue-green waters. I don't want to see snow anymore. It was fun
You
for
know,
like the first 35 years of my life. And then I'm like, screw this. I don't want to be cold anymore. Anyways, I'm brown, bro. My blood is meant to be hot, okay? دمنا بيغلي, you know what I mean? Anyways, but back to what I was saying. This whole idea, like, as if the progress that they made, it's not just it's taking credit, like the selective historical narrative. The progress that was made, bro, was built and came out of and was birthed by the oppression that you committed. You gave women their rights. When? When did women get rights? They got the right to work when all the men were sent to go fight the world war and they realized, oh crap, our economy's tanking. There was never an extension of rights to people that was out of justice or ethics. It was either fought for and people died for it and they bled for it, or it was extended as a form of, let's be honest, currency in their capitalistic empires. There's
and
no
that's a lot of what it is. Also, with a lot of the things that happen. So, for instance, women going to the workforce. Yeah, obviously, women contribute to society just like men. But what do they do with not just men and women? But they take now the two parents, and you have to combine now your salaries in order to survive. And the sad reality is, a lot of times, both or one of them are not doing anything useful for society either. right? So you're out in the workforce, really not doing anything and contributing, but you need to work in order to make money and in order to survive. And this
The
is where
rat
they
race,
took the
right?
mom out of the family home, where now the family unit and structure now has been lost because both parents are working all the time.
I mean, look, I know that Khadija radiallahu anha was a amazing, successful businesswoman who actually hired Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to work for her initially. I think what you're getting at, just to clarify for like our viewers, whoever's watching this, is the being forced to work to simply be able to make ends meet and continue to live paycheck to paycheck. And that has,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
how do we keep people constantly in this rat race and the elimination of the middle class completely, where we have the billionaires and then we have the rest of the society? It's not compatible with life, bro, with what people are paying.
I mean, you could even think about it like for me growing up, and for a lot of people in my kind of generation with our fathers, a lot of them did not know their fathers because they were always working. And that was a problem back then. You take the dad out, he's not part of the family, he doesn't have a relationship with his kids, that becomes a problem. Now, when you multiply that with the mom is out too, now you got both. It's like, what is happening? Alhamdulillah, like I have the opportunity to be around my kids a lot. We talked about capitalism and what matters, right? And in capitalism, what matters is profit and money. That's not the Islamic system. The Islamic system is not based on
100%.
profit and money. There's higher callings for us than just what is the most amount of money that we can make and who do we have to step on, what do we have to go
What
through,
part of our
doesn't
soul
matter.
do we have to sell?
Exactly, right? But yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
But yeah,
here,
this like elitist narrative is just complete garbage. And the audacity to like, I mean, this is the guy that should be wearing the mask. Fox dude should give him the mask because, bro, are you actually defending the systems that you built that have resulted in this corrupt world order that most people are praying will be just crumble and fall so we can actually rebuild a just society? I'm very, very embarrassed for him. I've got secondhand embarrassment.
so just to show this guy the greatness of the West that we all want to move here for.
Do you ever expect something like that Facebook post could get you arrested?
Not at all. A Facebook post made by Jennifer Combs, a wife, mother, and citizen journalist, led to her arrest by Trinidad Police Department on May 8th.
It's Trinidad, California, not Trinidad and Tobago.
You have to spend the night in jail?
I did.
What was that like?
Horrifying.
Okay, so I just wanted to show people a little bit of that clip in context. A woman in Texas, oh, sorry, not California, Texas, my bad. A woman in Texas was arrested after she made a Facebook post sounding the alarm about the water quality in her town. The water in Trinidad, Texas sometimes runs brown. When Jennifer Combs posted about it, the cops came and took her to jail. They hate us because of our freedoms. Let's see. Look at that. Woman files lawsuit after arrest for Facebook post concerning Trinidad water.
Imperial boomerang. It is coming back around.
Police tried to squash the story about people's water being undrinkable and made it go national in the process.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. This is, I mean, I was telling you, I keep saying this is the year of the Imperial boomerang. Continue. Like, I love to see this because this is what we need to rip the veneer off society. We need a white woman to get arrested for calling them out on Facebook, for people to be like, this is bad, you know? Power
So
to the
let's going along, right? Someone stole $950 worth of items from a Walgreens. There were 309 news stories about it. Walgreens was caught stealing $4.5 million from employees. It got just one single story. So this guy, Blade of the Sun, says theft is fine when it is them. So the way they did this was they were shaving time cards by rounding down hours, forced off the clock security checks, and denied legal rest breaks. That's what Walgreens was doing. And this is the thing you see, we talk about the media as well, how they are a layer of protection and attack
Oh, yeah.
dogs for the ones in power. And here's another example of it. And this happens all the time. Even the police, right? Who do they go after? They go after the guy that steals something from a store. But the big criminals that are stealing hundreds of millions of dollars every day, those guys are free. They could do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're buying and selling politicians like we buy and, buy coffee, right? It's different rules and different laws. And this goes completely, I
Oh,
remember,
100%.
I
And
wish
different
I
repercussions too, Ahmed. I mean, if you're like a petty criminal thief, you go to jail. But if you're, robbing and swindling at a high level like Walgreens is, got special places for you to go. They got tennis courts and, you just have to check in on the weekends or you go home for the weekends and
So
there's
listen to this. Nationwide, corporate wage theft drains over $15 billion annually from workers, dwarfing the total cost of all bank robberies, convenience store heists, and shoplifting combined. And it
what?
gets zero airtime
$15 billion.
annually,
Yep.
every year. And there was, I like to tie sometimes some of these back to Islam and how we, view it, how the faith views it, how the Prophet ﷺ views it. And the Prophet ﷺ really gave very strong commands about labor. So giving the worker his wages before his sweat dries. This is in Sunan Ibn Majah,
Yep.
Hadith 2443. I'm sure you've heard of this one before. And the
I love
idea
it.
is that you can't even delay paying them. You should be paying them before their sweat dries.
Yep.
And honestly, even if you think about this, a lot of people, what do? They live paycheck to paycheck. You get your pay and then you got to wait till the end of the month and just try to make it to get to the next one. And a lot of times what happens, you're always a month behind, right? So it's not like you get your pay at the beginning of when you start work. You work for that month and then you get your pay. So you're always a month behind. You know what
Yep.
I mean? And look at the subhanallah, like you see the way Islam deals with these things. It's like so, like, how could you be so perfect all the time? And it just really is. And then the other one is there's a hadith Qudsi where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will be an opponent to three types of people on the day of resurrection, the day of judgment. And a person who employs a laborer, one of the people is a person who employs a laborer, takes full work from him and does not pay him his wages. So think
Yep.
about that. The stand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking with labor, with the working class.
100%. Yeah. SubhanAllah. The
I
complete
think
opposite of what our society is built on right now. I mean, it's not even just paying them behind, it's, this cheating them of their wages. And then it's also how much are they even getting paid? And because again, the core principle is not justice, right? That these systems are built on, it's exploitation. And so it will always be promoting exploitation of people. Um, and that's the complete opposite of Islam, subhanAllah.
so. Here, this one. Amazon executive chair Jeff Bezos accuses U.S. politicians of villainizing the ultra wealthy. They're the real victims.
Just like
When was the
other
last time
dude,
you cried for a billionaire, Walaa? Do you ever think of them?
Ahmed, I'm telling you, it just goes back to the beginning, the first video you played. It's this deep-seated jealousy that we have. Like we just want to bring these successful, progressive people down because we can't be like them. That's why.
And look, they're using tax policy as a political wedge issue to distract from the bigger challenges facing the country. There are other problems, like the poorest people in the world. Those are the real problems. The people that have no power and no
I'm
money.
so
That's where
curious.
you should focus your energy.
What does Jeff Bezos identify as the biggest challenges facing the country right now?
I don't know. Should I click on this and we can go through a
I'm
little bit?
honestly curious, like what is he deflecting to from the poverty and homelessness and like the economic crisis that's facing the US? What is it, Jeff?
So here he
Is it
says, you could double the taxes I pay, and it's not going to help that teacher in Queens. And then Zohran Mamdani, my G, he says, I know a few teachers in Queens who would beg to differ.
Mm.
He says, while income inequality is a legitimate concern, raising taxes on the rich is not one of the ways to remedy it. I don't know if you've heard this going around where people were, what's going on in Palestine and, the genocide is unfolding. And people would come around and be like, listen, you're not bringing anybody to your side by saying this or putting a picture of that or, talking about, stop saying genocide. You're not helping your cause. And then this thing started coming out. It's like person telling you you're not helping your cause, and it's being said by somebody who couldn't care less about your cause. And it's the
Honest,
same thing here. That Jeff Bezos is like, it's just
I swear. It's crazy because I wonder how much of this right now is like people seeing what Mamdani's doing in New York and going, huh, there is a way out of the mess we find ourselves in, and going, tax the rich because it actually, look, it works. And now he's like, no, you're villainizing us. We have bigger things to worry about right now. For instance, I have it on good authority that Hezbollah is planning an attack on California. Go, yalla, scurry. Get to work at figuring that problem out. Like,
I love this. Like, this is honest. I don't know how, like, where do you go from here? Like, how do you make fun of this? How do you satirize this? So what's happening here is politicians are using the kind of age-old technique, picking a villain. So they're dividing and conquering the ultra wealthy and the most powerful. That's the problem. They're pointing fingers, but the problem, it doesn't solve anything.
I read an article that was so interesting about Jeff Bezos. Somebody was invited to one of his retreats, and this person was arguing that these people have like a complete dissociation from reality. And I can see that here. I can see that Jeff Bezos is, I mean, something's disconnected, bro. If he thinks he's going to make this argument fly, something is seriously disconnected. Some people are picking a villain and pointing fingers. I mean, a billionaire, bajillionaire saying that, bro, doesn't have the same ring to it, man.
Somebody please think of the billionaires.
Seriously.
So
Unless
you
you're
have
secretly Bruce Wayne, my friend, and fighting crime in your tights at night, you don't get to play the you're being villainized card, kid.
So he's worth $270 billion. This is by Keith Fleming. If you spent $1 million a day, it would take you 700 years to spend $270 billion.
So listen. If he gave every person on earth $1 billion, is my math mathing?
No, it's not at
He,
all.
he would, no, listen. He would still have $262 billion?
No, if he gave every person $1 billion,
There's 8 billion people. Oh,
no,
wait. It's not mathing. Edin in and out. Do you remember that MTV Cribs? Edin in and
yeah,
out.
edit it out. So he's worth $270 billion. If he
I mean,
spends,
I could settle for $1 million, Jeff Bezos. It's not to be $1 billion.
so most of his money is tied up in stocks. From 2006 to 2018, he paid $1.4 billion in federal income taxes. In that same span, he increased his net worth by $127 billion. Or another way to say, he paid 1.1% of taxes. This is exactly how the 1%, like Bezos, are allowed to avoid paying their fair share. Imagine having this kind of money and trying to play victim, while his company won't let his employees unionize for fear it will cut into their profits. His company, Amazon, makes $638 billion in revenue in 2024.
The same Amazon that we featured, I think, on our first podcast episode, where they let somebody die in a warehouse and left him for like an hour, and there's multiple accidents. That's how much Jeff Bezos is not the villain, guys.
Delivery guys have to like carry pee bottles with them and pee because they got to make their quotas and all that. And here's what we've been talking about right here. We are only worried about profit. Owned by the wealthiest Americans, we are only worried about profit. And this is what happens, right? See, look, here's Keith Fleming just explaining a little bit about that. So he's able to do, have you ever heard of the buy, borrow, die story? I learned it in econ class in college. The leverage appreciating assets, access cash, and then pass their wealth to their heirs in the most tax efficient manner when they die. And we talked a little bit about this last time. Remember about Islam and the way that inheritance law works. So let's share the next little bit. We're talking about the empire. We're talking about profits and the capitalism, and all that matters is what is the most amount of money that you can make. And especially for people in America, I know they look at Republicans and they're very upset with them, and they're like, if only the Democrats were in power, things would be very, very different. So they did release the autopsy report, and I'm going to explain a little bit about the way that the Democrats operate. But here you see that the DNC autopsy report of 2024 is 192 pages, zero mentions of the word Israel, Palestine, or Gaza. And DNC Chair Ken Martin concedes the autopsy does not meet his standards, nor would it meet yours. He's talking to you, Walaa. He's saying it wouldn't meet your standards either.
Nothing you'll ever do will meet my standards, bro, so don't worry about it too much.
So here he searches Israel, it's not in there. Gaza, Palestine, foreign policy, even not in there, right? And this is Ken Martin, who says, read more about what I have to say. When I was elected DNC chair, I commissioned an action review of the 2024 election that I wanted to be honest and transparent and with actionable and specific takeaways for the future of the Democratic Party. So he's releasing the report unedited, unabridged. It does not meet my standards and it won't meet your standards, but I'm doing this because people need to see whatever about the Democratic Party. So this is the first tweet that I wanted to share, and then a little bit more analysis about that, because I thought this was, it's big news. People are talking about it. The Democrats, obviously, they like to point the finger at, third party, or you didn't come out and vote for Democrats. And I don't think they understand that that's not how democracy works. The way democracy works is you're supposed to make me come out and vote for you. What are you offering me, the voter, to motivate me, to entice me to go out into the polls and vote for you? It's your right to have my vote? Is that how democracy works? Or is it you have to offer something to people other than we're not Donald Trump or we're not the Republican Party?
I'm so curious about this report because what we have heard, right, is that Kamala Harris lost because of Gaza, right? This is the consensus now that this was one of the major issues was the Democratic government's not only like continued support for genocide, but failing to acknowledge it, failing to even like pretend to care. Like you said last time, they were going into the convention like plugging their ears. They removed speakers. So I'm curious, this autopsy report, is it not because they want to see what happened in the elections and the Democratic Party, and yet it does not mention that at all? What does it mention?
So I want to get a little bit into that to explain to
Talk
you
to me.
what the actual point is for this autopsy and what the point of the Democrats is in general. I wanted to first show this post here. This is Craig McIver. Did anyone really expect the Democratic Party leadership, which has been directly and enthusiastically complicit in genocide and apartheid in Palestine, to issue an honest mea culpa in the matter? Time to write an autopsy for the party itself and throw them alongside the overtly fascist Republican Party into the trash bin of history. It's the genocide, stupid.
Hmm. Thank you.
So that's Craig McIver. And I've done a little bit of kind of work and research on that, but did you want to comment on that before we do that?
No, I wish I'd seen this tweet before I started like scratching my head and going, I don't understand how it doesn't have Palestine, Gaza, or Israel in it, because pretty sure even Kamala Harris said it in her book. They lost because of this. Like, what else you got for us? What's in this report?
Yeah. So here we go. So what they're doing is not an the DNC committing omitting Gaza from the 192 page report is not an oversight. It's the feature of how the party is built to function. The establishment's true priority is to preserve the donor network, is to preserve the system, the Epstein class, the billionaire class, the people that are really running the show, right? That's their goal. That's their purpose. Their purpose is not to win and lose elections. Their purpose is to give you the illusion of choice, to make to maybe change small things here and there, while the big things that matter are actually always changing in the way that benefits the top, the people in charge, right? It's also meant to obviously continue the imperial military policy, and it's not through, like I said, winning elections. And what do they do? The party's entire business model relies on managed fear. Their primary product is not a positive vision. Do you like remember when Bernie was coming out, and I was, a big fan of Bernie back when he was, I thought there was some hope for him before he, kind of really disappointed everybody, I think. But he was actually giving people something to come out for. This is why there was so much hype and energy around him. He was telling people Medicare for all. He was telling people we're going to tax the rich. He was telling people we're going to, like actually do real things, end the wars,
Mhm.
take care of Americans, rebuild infrastructure, like put the money that is going all over the, you know, to do anything else into the pockets of the billionaire class. And he really turned it into a class struggle where it was the wealthy and the poor, the working class and the owner class. And
Mm.
that's where he got a lot of his excitement.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Because
Like you don't see that.
that's why people relate to Trump because
What did Kamala run on? What did Biden run on?
I'm not Trump.
That's all it was. Just fear.
That's it. I'm not Trump. We're not Trump. We're not Trump. We're not Trump. And this assessment that somehow anti-Trump rhetoric is enough in and of itself. Like, but this is what they've always ran on. We're not them.
They run, and actually, like, and what do they do instead? Like they don't want to do real change. They don't want to challenge the military industrial complex. They want to challenge the banker class and the owner class. So what do? They make you fight about a very like set, like this is the you could fight from here to here. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to
Parameters,
set
yeah.
the border, the boundaries, and let's talk about that. Identity politics. Let's talk about abortion. Let's talk about trans. Let's talk about, these sort of things. Let's talk about that. DEI and, immigrants, like things like that. Don't look at us. And this is why Jeff Bezos comes down and saying, "Oh, look, it's not about me. You can't tax me. It's not going to solve anything." Like that is the problem, buddy. Like that is exactly what the problem is.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And it's not that these discussions shouldn't be had and are not, it's the fact that they become like red herrings, right? Like, let's focus on anything other than what people's frustration is with the Democratic Party. And it is 100% this. I saw a skit that made me laugh, and it was like, it was talking about resistance movements, and the comedian is like, if aliens identified, I don't like his point, but it did make me laugh. If aliens came down and invaded America, who's gonna fight them? And he's like, it won't be the liberals because the liberals will be too busy having conversations like, what gender are these aliens? And using the word alien is politically incorrect. We're gonna call them planetless. It's like, this is like the meat of it is that it's just there's no substance to the Liberal Party, bro. Like you said, they define the parameters of the discussion as this narrow and regarding these issues, and 90% of the time they're distract distract distracting tactics that they're doing.
It's and they make people so passionate about it,
Distractionary.
like, right? They make it so passionate about, like, people willing to like fight and kill over like alhamdulillah. I feel like in Islam, I think the abortion is pretty clear, and I think it makes sense and it's very logical, and I don't think that it should be this much of a problem, and a lot of things that people are fighting about. But what do? They make you so it's like, it's like the person I could relate it to this. When you don't know a lot about, like, you don't know a lot about like Islam, right? Like you know a little bit about it, but you don't know a lot. And you learn something new about the prayer, let's say, like, hold your hands like this. So now when you're in the masjid and you see other people like praying, you look at them and you're like, brother, you're supposed to hold your hands
Brother,
like this.
ew. My daughter goes around the house going, brother, ew.
But
I'm
you know what
like,
I mean?
"Oh."
Like, and he's like, brother, you're not supposed to hold your hands like this. It's like, bro, like there's different madahib and there's different forms of it. Like, let's not argue about these small things. There are bigger picture things for us to argue about. And that's what the Democrats do.
I can't remember who said it right now that, it was someone in the Muslim community who said, you know, the house is on fire and we're talking about where should we put the furniture. When it comes to like, this is what's facing our society. And it could be the Ummah or it could be like American society. This is what's facing our society right now. And we're discussing these like
Yeah,
details that, you know, they're
yeah.
important, but maybe
Brother, why are
let's
you moving your
on the
finger
first
like that?
building.
You know, like what? You know, it has to be like this. So, like, bro, who cares? You know, just pray. Like, we're here praying. Let's just enjoy the prayer, you know? But yeah, so let's talk about a little bit just so, you know, they were blaming like this report because you were asking, before I get into a little bit more of the critique of it, is that they were blaming on internal operational failures, broken state level party infrastructure, lack of data driven organizing, you know, things like that, inability to make middle America feel included in the party's platform.
Bro, but like they mentioned, like they're not going to touch Gaza and the genocide. They mentioned Biden's mental decline, his age, the fact that he withdrew from the race and Kamala Harris
No,
took over.
none of that mattered. None of that mattered. The corporate media did blame the Green Party and Jill Stein for the 2024 loss, although it really had no material effect on it. The election was fundamentally decided by the low voter turnout numbers. Kamala Harris lost millions of votes compared to Joe Biden's 2020 numbers because of a massive segment of the base simply didn't want to vote for her. They just stayed home. A January 2025 YouGov survey explicitly confirmed that the top reason 2020 vote inviters chose to sit out the 2024 election was, say it with me, the Gaza genocide.
What? Man, you're shocking me today. You're shocking me.
That's what I'm here to do. Shock and awe.
Shocking awe.
Shock and awe. Maybe that's what we should have called the podcast. Shock and awe.
Shocking awe. This is just so in line with the Democratic Party, bro.
And then
This is the most perfect report that they could come out with, which is word salad that means nothing, has no substance, and doesn't address the real issues. Why are people surprised? What were they anticipating? That somehow, since they lost the election till now, they're able to cohesively, critically look and address issues?
But I'm telling you, this is the way they're operating exactly. This is a design. I know people
Yeah.
are like, get it together. How are you going to win an election? Like,
No.
you know, I was talking to a friend of mine and I was telling him, like, you know, doesn't Biden want to win the election? I mean, I know, but we're just talking and like, you know, you say this and he's like, bro, if it meant he could win the election, but he would have to stop supplying Israel with weapons, he would rather not be in power. He's there to do that. If he can't do that, he doesn't want to be there anyway.
100%. No.
You know? And what did they do? Like, rather than shifting policy on Gaza, they doubled down on the hawkishness. They were parading conservatives around, like Liz Cheney.
Yeah.
Richie Torres went to places like Michigan. They had Bill Clinton use settler to the. He was using terms like Judea and Samaria to defend Israel's actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was like, let's do an autopsy and see why we lost.
No, and you know the reason why they won't even like this is anybody who thinks this is just lazy or you know the politics or a bad decision somebody made and doesn't understand this is actually the Democratic Party is guys, come on. Trump's rankings are tanking. Rankings are tanking, guys.
Rankings are what? I like that.
But
Rankings
we're
are
not
tank.
winning in Iran like we thought we would. We haven't been able to wrap it up and get that oil and uranium and get out Tom Clancy style. And the Democratic Party doesn't have to do anything at this point, Ahmed. They're just like, come back. Come back to me. That's it.
I swear, I bet they're even like not being in power because when you're in power, you actually got to do something. It's better to sit back and
No,
just point the finger and say, look,
100%.
Trump is the
Not even
worst. It helps them fundraise.
and they're not even pointing the fingers at Donald Trump and the Republican Party. They're going to the voters and be like, see what you did? We told you we were better for you. Okay? Wouldn't you rather genocide? Now, يلا,
Now give us money.
I forgive you. Give me the
Give
money.
us
Give
money.
me the vote. All is
I don't
forgiven.
forgive you, but give me your money.
They will. They will. They'll forgive them. And by forgive, I mean, تقعدوا عاقلين, you sit down, you shut your mouth, and you accept the Democratic Party for what it is for another 4 years. Let's see. Allah يستر, man.
So, we have a little bit of time left, and we've got to go through some very important stories and updates. One of them is obviously, I like getting my news from the Hulk. I don't know about you, but the Hulk's my guy, and
What?
he's talking about the flotilla, Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, okay.
At least
I
15 cases of sexual assault, including rape, shot with rubber bullets at close range, tens of people's bones broken. Organizers of the Global Sumud Flotilla posted on the Telegram social media app. While the world's eyes train on the suffering of our participants, we cannot emphasize enough that this is a mere glimpse of the brutality Israel imposes daily on Palestinian hostages. My guy, the Hulk. I've liked Mark Ruffalo, and one of the things that Zionists have really ruined about, just your like normal day to day life is, sometimes you're fans of people and they turn out to be scumbags, right?
Mhm.
And, I always like Mark Ruffalo, and I'm happy that he didn't turn out to be a scumbag because I like the guy.
Well, I know.
But you see, this is a problem that's been happening with the Global Sumud Flotilla.
You know, it's crazy, Ahmed, because it's almost like when governments and media facilitate narratives that demonize a group of people, it's almost like it leads to violence against them. Did we not discuss this a couple episodes ago with the letter? What was it? The press secretary? Who was it that released a letter saying that these Hamas boats and like they're
Yeah,
Hamas this and Hamas that?
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying Israelis have decency, and I'm not saying that they haven't done this before, but the videos of that Ben Gvir was putting out, I mean, I think they're getting frustrated. They did not have to deal with this many flotillas in such a short span of time. And B, bro, there's been zero accountability for anything they've done. So all you're doing, world, is facilitating more of this.
Yeah. I mean, silence in the face of injustice is complicity. And the
Well, it's
entire,
more than just silence at this point. Ya reit they were silent. They're actively promoting it. If only they were silent. That would be like
I mean, like
one step
we've seen like
closer.
countries like Canada, let's say, and, other countries, maybe Australia, say, we are very concerned about the treatment of, the
And
global
all
Sumud Flotilla.
parties must abide by international
We call
humanitarian
on
law.
Israel to please look into this and tell us if you've done anything wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
But here you see, we are not human to them. Imagine who the owner of this phrase is he's asking. And it is Dr. Margaret Connolly, sister of the President of Ireland, Catherine Connolly. She was one of those arriving with the Freedom Flotilla, and occupation forces arrested them. She summed up the scene by saying, if they do this to Europeans in international waters, what will they do to the poor Palestinian men and children? And then this guy says, Yasser Azat, Azatar, Azatara. Help me out here. Walaa.
الزعاترة. زعاترة. By the way, like I'm sure you're the same way, but when you learn to read Arabic for the Quran, where's my tashkil, bro?
Yeah,
Okay?
I need my,
We need the kasras and the fathas, so we're not massacring your name, bro.
seriously. So
But yeah,
he says
100%. Like this
they
is
are monsters in human form. And, there's more of this. And I wanted to show just a couple of things because, there is honestly a serious problem in Israeli society. Because not only can they not stop raping Palestinian men, women, and children, but they can't even stop raping each other. Look, this is Times of Israel. I'm showing you guys mainstream stuff here. 81% of sex crime complaints in Israel closed without an indictment, report says that 6,405 cases of sexual abuse and harassment are opened by the police through 2024. But I'm going to show another article now that shows actually this number is a lot higher of actual cases. This is just what the police. Where am I looking here? These were just cases that were opened by the police. So let me show you just a couple of more because I really wanted to. I really wanted to just give people a little glimpse of this, of what's happening in Israeli society. Like, this is a problem. They are a rape cult. Don't need that. Israel Rape Crisis Centers report 51,000 cases as ministries withhold key data. Before the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, I mean, you want to eliminate violence against women, right? And you see here the Association of Rape Crisis Centers in Israel received over 51,000 queries in 2024. So, first of all, they don't even investigate all of them. And with the ones that they do, what was the number? 83% said 83% don't even go anywhere. They're just nothing.
So
And
hold on. I wanted to ask you, like, these numbers, did you look at how they compare to like other countries, global trends? Because I think what sticks out to me is the low indictments that come out of this, meaning that they're not dealing with any of this, they're not addressing it. I mean, we've seen how accountable they are when it comes to international humanitarian law. I'm genuinely surprised that they don't extend their own civilians that same courtesy.
no, they
81% closed without indictment. That is an insanely high number for a country that's always being asked to investigate itself.
Yeah. And here, let me show a report by Harrods. There we go. Okay. New report reveals alarming rise in sexual abuse cases and systemic failures in Israel. An annual report, 81%. So I'm showing you guys Israeli sources, not stuff, you know, from any other sources. It's them themselves. I don't want to sign up here, but you could see victims. Look, 59% of complaints received by crisis centers involve harm to minors. 59% under 18 and 28% involve victims under the age of 12. Tell me this is not a problem. And look, this we're talking about like 51,000 calls or instances of people complaints.
That is insane. So you're telling me that 81% of them are closed without indictment, and 59% of them are against minors. I can't do the math, bro, but that's a significant amount of sexual assault being filed on behalf of a minor who's been sexually assaulted without an indictment.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's almost like if a society is not held to account, they will not hold themselves accountable. How many different ways can I put this, guys? Okay. Like, clearly, they have no interest in establishing laws that protect their people or other people. This is what happens when you are a genocidal, ethno-nationalist, supremacist, apartheid state. This is what happens.
So, you know what? Before I share
Well,
this,
But I forgot. Anytime you mention something like this, we also need to be certain that we talk about, so that we're not being anti-Semitic, that actually sexual assault happens everywhere, Ahmed, and it's unfair of us to pinpoint the fact that 81% of the cases in Israel are not, indicted. Just saying. So I had to throw that in there.
just wondering if they're doing this to each other. I wanted to maybe I'll
Bro,
look this
Ahmed,
up.
it makes sense. How many Israeli soldiers actually go to court for the abuse that they do against Palestinians in the prisons?
What is it, like 1% or less than
1%
that?
or something like that. Those same people that are doing this and getting away with it, do you not think it messes with their psyche and how they view people? Like, you cannot be an abusive piece of garbage and then lock that part of yourself into like a little, like box when you go back into like mainstream society. You are still an abusive piece of garbage. But now what you're doing is you're sexually assaulting minors and other people. And then the same system that couldn't hold you accountable there will not hold you accountable here.
But honestly, I'm gonna even push back on that a little bit further. It's not even just that one individual or that group, let's say, or something. This is a societal problem in Israel. This is what they
Yeah, yeah.
promote. This is
No,
what, yeah, like this is
100%.
part of like Israeli culture itself. This is how it is there. So when you glorify this stuff, then you go to Palestinians now, you'd obviously take it to a next level. Now you come back to your society, and then I think that's where your comment comes into play, and now it becomes even worse.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in
yeah,
general,
100%.
right, this is a problem. But here you see the Atlantic, Nicholas Kristof's column alleging an Israeli campaign of sexual violence against Palestinians contains defects of evidence and sourcing that are alarming. Many Jews amid intensifying anti-Semitic violence, David Frum argues.
The Atlantic is such a piece of garbage magazine.
Well said. And that makes our podcast. And here we have our buddy Aaron Mate. I mean, he's not really my buddy, but I'm sure
Listen,
one
at
day
this point,
I'm sure if he met me, he would love me.
I'm sure if he met you, he would love you. IOF
Here
prison
he
guards are
says
innocent. My latest for a magazine edited by a former IOF prison guard.
he's making fun of the Atlantic.
I know, I know.
And this is exactly how it tends to go. So there's my little bit of an update on just what's going on with the flotilla. I know a lot of them are being released. Some of them are coming back now to their countries, and they're reporting on their experience that happened there. Some of the bravest people in the world, and I don't care what people really say, if it's stunt or not or all that. They're putting their lives on the line. They know how Israel behaves. They could easily be killed. They could, obviously they've been sexually abused, tortured, and abused and harassed, and they're going. Israel has no right to stop people from going into Gaza at all. Israel has no right. They have no right to be in Gaza. What Israel needs to do on the most basic level is it needs to be demilitarized and de-radicalized. Like, this is crazy. This death and rape cult cannot continue like this. It needs, like, this cannot continue.
Ahmed, I'm sure you've seen those organizations where foreigners and Israelis spend nights in rotation in the West Bank, in the villages that are being attacked by settlers and being threatened with demolition and the IOF. Have you seen those? Like, these are the legit Israeli, not like what we saw last time, the guys that are like peaceful walking with the nun. Like what I mean is that the flotilla, they're doing what's demanded right now with the privilege that they have, which is they're putting their privileged body that is only privileged because it's associated with a citizenship that the world cares about on the line for the Palestinian people to stop a genocide. People, call it whatever, try to demean it however. The reality is they're doing what every single person should be doing right now, which is using our privilege and putting our body on the line. And that's
Yeah.
only not just fighting. That also means that, you're doing something like this because they are now. I was so glad to hear Tiago talking about it. They're filing ICC and ICJ cases. They have legal representation. If we can't get accountability because they've massacred 300 plus thousand Palestinian children, maybe we can get accountability because they extended that same farane to international citizens, right?
Or even, I would say, a part of that, Farani. Not the same. I think,
Not the same. No,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
same. Not the
So
same.
here, I wanted to share this also. So, Walaa, do you work out sometimes?
I do actually.
Do a little, maybe on the bike, maybe go for a run outside,
No, I
I
haven't ran since
personally,
I was in university, bro. I do Pilates. Because when you get
I
old,
usually personally myself, when I go to the gym, I put my headphones in. I like to listen to podcasts. So I hope people listen to ours. Maybe it'll be cool to hear one day if
see
somebody
that
listens
setup.
to our
See, if you're
podcast.
gonna set something up like that, you gotta clue me in, bro. You gotta clue me in so I'm not
Oh,
discussing
I'm
my
still
work in front
setting
of
up
people.
right now.
Okay,
This is
continue.
still the
Yalla.
setup. So what is your go-to anyway? Let's hear. Like, what do you like to listen to when you're doing your thing?
Uh, I listen to lectures and podcasts. I'm sorry. I do.
Right. So you're like me, listen to, back in the day, I used to listen to more music when I
Yeah.
would work out.
Back when I used to do lifting, I used to listen to Oh God, the first one that comes to mind is that pour some sugar on me. AC/DC probably, and Highway to Hell, and I
No,
needed
what?
that like beat to like, you know? Yeah.
That's you. I was more like,
So it's like it's just how you're like pumping iron and you're like bam, bam, bam. Keeps you going.
but if you are part,
Why are you laughing?
because if you are part of a death cult,
Oh God.
you listen to the beat of genocide.
The
Look
beat
at
of
what they're chanting. May
genocide.
your village burn. Like, these are just like, what is happening? Who? What is going on?
I mean, I don't have like we've said, it's a sick society, man. I don't know. Like I was saying, maybe I get pumped up, you know, like I feel like I can push through the workout when I'm listening to heavy beats. They need to be reminded that they're genociding freaks, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. And I get ripped to go kill some Palestinian babies, burn some villages.
Now, okay, that's fine, man. Let's just put that to the side. Let me ask you another question. You ever been into one of those like community movies? You grab your kids, you go to the park, they have a big screen set up.
Yeah.
They have like a cartoon on, maybe a funny
Yeah.
movie or something like that. You sit there, eat some popcorn, push each other around a little bit, laugh, and go home, right? Nice time. Put something innocent on. Israelis have a version of that too.
Oh, this one I've seen.
Here you go. This is settlers installing screens in a square to celebrate the ethnic cleansing in southern Lebanon, as if it were, like, let's go to a drive-in at the movies or watching a soccer match, like this guy is saying. Community screening for a movie. Psychology must incorporate Israel as a new case to study human evil. This flaunting of genocide is not normal. This is not normal. I hope Zionists understand that this is not normal. Like, anybody still defending this, you are
Zionists
not normal.
understand this is not normal? They are not normal. How could they understand that this is not normal?
No, anybody still defending this, you are not normal. I'm just letting you know, you are not normal. You are not a sane person.
Again, like we've talked about this whole society being built around the idea that you need to exterminate a group of people that are dehumanized and demonized. Like, this is the outcome of that. This is the outcome of that, Ahmed. And I'm sorry, but this is also why we have what happened in San Diego the other day and at Christchurch, who the San Diego shooters were motivated by. Like, you cannot espouse genocidal, demonizing, dehumanizing rhetoric. And I mean, just on Israel, it's just on a massive scale. Like, it's like they all drank this Kool-Aid or something that was like spiked with genocide, like intent to commit genocide.
They're
Ethnic cleanse.
using too much of that ethnic
Yep.
cleanser, I think.
I like it. I like it.
So I was gonna show this tweet, but it's a little bit bloody, so I'm just gonna read it. But there's that show, The Boys. I'm not gonna give away any
Oh my
spoilers.
God. Yeah. We're watching it, my son and I.
It's kind of like crazy.
It's a little bit
But
crazy.
anyway, somebody was saying, I think this was before or after the finale. I'm not really sure. I don't even know if the finale's out yet. Maybe I think it is. But he says, "Is there any show where the villain actually won?" And somebody else commented, and they're like, "Bro, just turn on the news. Yeah, the villains are have won right now. They're not gonna eventually win, but right now, the villains win. Like, the U.S. is in power, Israel is in power, and they're just killing and blowing up and doing whatever the hell they want." But
Maybe that's
there
why
was,
we create stories where heroes win.
yeah,
Soothe the
yeah,
population. Be like, look, the good guys are doing it. Because in
that's the
reality,
real fantasy.
that's the real fantasy.
It's not all the superhero flying around stuff. It's that good people actually won.
No, they will though, bro. That's إن وعد الله حق.
والعاقبة. But I just wanted to share one more thing. I know this is a little bit off topic. I mean, it is kind of tied into the whole corporate empire field, but I like stories like this because I think it's important to let people know, just bring them back a little bit to reality. And I know we're like tight on time right now, but I still think it's worth, even though it's not like urgent this moment, I still want to talk about it. So let's just get into it a little bit right now. So I'm going to leave this up. If you want to read some of it, Walaa, that's fine.
An MIT researcher spent 4 months watching what happens inside the skull of a student who writes with ChatGPT, and the result was so clean that almost nobody outside her lab has read the paper. Her name is Natalie Kosmina. She runs experiments at the MIT Media Lab. The study was released in 2025, and the finding is the kind of thing that should have rewritten every syllabus. The setup was simple. She recruited 54 people in Boston. Each one wore an EEG headset that read brain activity across 32 regions of the scalp. They wrote the same kind of essay over and over again for 4 months. One group used ChatGPT, one group used Google, and one group used nothing but their own head. The students writing alone had the strongest neural connectivity. Memory, language, and attention networks were all firing together. Then the Google group, then the ChatGPT group. In the final session, she made the ChatGPT users write without the tool, and their brains stayed quiet, meaning that there was less neural activity in the background. Then she asked them to quote a single line from the essay they'd written, and 80% of them could not do it. Kosmina calls it cognitive debt. Every shortcut you take with the model is a withdrawal from a part of your brain that was supposed to do the work. The shortcut feels free. It is not. I don't know if I ever told you this, Ahmed, but when I was in university, I did my undergrad in psych, right? My passion was neuropsychology. And so all my research, everything I did, all the labs that I did was exactly about like brain learning and rehab, and especially after brain injury, which subhanAllah came so in handy with my son. But I remember this study that they did with, they looked at the hippocampus of cab drivers, and they looked at specifically London, England cab drivers, and they compared it to fMRI imaging of the hippocampus in, people who use GPS regularly. What they found was like the density of the hippocampus and people who were utilizing it was so much greater than it was. Like there was more connectivity, there was more activity, it was denser in the matter than it was for the group who are using GPS. So like use it or lose it, right? That's what it is when it comes to the brain. So none of this is like really surprising to me. I definitely feel stupider after using AI. I do. I was a smart person, man.
I mean, we're similar ages. You're like 5, 7 years older than me, but we're close.
I could be your mother, Ahmed.
So, Khalto,
Nah,
I'm
شو
sure
بدك
you
يا
remember
خالته?
us growing up, we used to have to memorize everybody's number.
Yes.
You didn't have right now, nobody knows anybody's number. I lose my phone, I can't call anybody.
No.
It's like,
No.
that's it, I'm on my own. But back
But
then, you
but
have to memorize everybody's number.
listen, I still remember my home phone number, my dad's work number, and my best friend's home phone number. My numbers I memorized 30 years ago are still
Oh yeah,
relevant
all
to my
those.
brain.
I know. Remember like the last 3 homes I lived in's numbers.
Yeah. And
Aunts' numbers, like friends of mine's numbers from back in the day, like I still remember
yeah.
those.
Yeah, 100%. No, and like this is like our attention span is decreasing, but the crazy thing about the use of AI is I was reading an article on, oh goodness, I think it was the New Yorker. I don't know if you saw that article. It was fascinating about how schools are pushing AI for children. And obviously the person writing this article was like, no. Like, yes, AI is exceptionally powerful. It is amazing. And you know what? It makes you feel like you can be even more productive in the rat race, which is exactly what we all want, right? How can I put in more hours with less effort to make more money? But there is a trade-off you're making here. You're not using those parts of your brain. You will lose those connections. This is
Yeah.
like basic neural science and, cognitive functioning.
And like I know it's a little bit hypocritical because I use AI, but I see the problems with it. And I was gonna share a post about this as well, which is what you're saying also about how like there was a parent that's training their kid not to use AI and they don't want to use AI. And then what happens even in that case when you're not using that. And there was another actually study that's done. Maybe I'll share this next time. I'll get into a little bit more, but even just writing instead of typing and what it does to your brain too. Writing and how you remember what you do. If you remember, like for me, I used to always, again, I grew up like almost 55 years ago. and now I'm exaggerating the other way. But basically, we
He's
used to write
gaslighting you,
everything.
folks. No one knows which
No, but
direction. Is he 20? Is he
am I here?
50?
Am I here? What? But I used to write everything. And actually, my
Bro,
mom came over the other day.
Ahmed, we're roughly the same age enough for you to remember you had to write your tests on paper. Do you remember
"Yeah,
essay writing? Four or
Why they don't
five
write it on
pages?
paper right now?
No.
Really? No. You
I
write
swear.
how do you write a test on your laptop? They give you a link or something?
Okay, so I am younger than you because I was writing my diplomas in high school on a laptop. Yeah. They're
I
monitored and they're
never.
disconnected from like browsing. But yeah, like I remember when I got to my grade 12 diploma, I'm like, this is so nice. Because you don't remember, like, you're writing your like test and your hand is like cramping and you're like, must continue
Finish.
somehow. Like, yeah.
By the
And,
way,
and
I have incredible writing.
of course you do,
I have
because you were
I,
like you're a jiddi apparently. So you wrote before you
I write
typed.
I write like I'm like it's like it came out of the
Show us.
printer.
Show us,
Let me see
yalla.
if I let me see if I have something here. Actually, I might. You want me to get up and get it? I have it somewhere here.
Yes. Picture it didn't happen. The
All
proof
right,
is
you
in the
stay right
pudding.
there because I'm gonna grab
Show
something.
us the receipts, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, for our viewers, Ahmed has failed to both produce writing that shows how amazing his handwriting is. And then when he did, apparently there is sensitive information that I cannot show. So, if you want to know if Ahmed's writing is really as good as he claims, you're going to have to stay tuned for the next episode because we're going to start us off
I,
with one of his high school
I will.
notebooks.
Next episode, I'm gonna have my
He'll
notebook
have it
ready to
ready.
go.
We'll start off with welcome to. Did you think it would be this good? Are you
In
shocked?
case of ugly handwriting, break glass.
Call Ahmed. Who are you gonna call? So we're gonna see if Ahmed's writing lives up to the hype. But
Trust me,
yeah,
you're gonna be
100%.
impressed.
Like back to the typing and the phone using and even like your fine motor skills. But the thing about like the use of AI, you know how they're saying like AI is gonna take over the world and when is it gonna happen? Bro, it's just gonna make us really stupid and dependent. Because I for one cannot without a GPS and I'm slowly learning that I also need an AI tool in my life. The more you use it, the more you need it, right?
You know what? This is a good reminder. I mean, I know honestly, a lot of times I have a very good image of the city and how the streets work, but you kind of want to see how traffic is and exactly how long it's going to take to get to where you're getting, and becomes a reliance. And I think I'm going to try to cut some of that out.
So I was born with, if there is a disability where you don't know left from right, so not using GPS is not an option. Like I literally do not know where I am in space and what direction is what. I know, wow, I'm like all the stereotypes are getting reinforced here. I don't know directions. I hate math. I'll
I
surprise
love
you.
math. I
Yes,
absolutely
mentioned
love
that.
math.
I only
But
recognize algebra.
you mentioned space, and it just reminded me of something because I just finished Project Hail Mary. It took me like a week to watch it, but it's worth it. It's a good movie.
Okay.
And you were talking about being lost in space. I actually have had a nightmare where like I've traveled into space and then I didn't know how to get back to Earth. Like I was so deep into space. I'm like, okay, which way is Earth? How do I get back? Like
Yikes.
that's freaky. Like in the dream, I still remember it, man. It left an impression on me. Anyway, you just reminded me of that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I personally like I use AI to save time and to be more productive. And this trade-off is like it's so I'm glad you brought this up. I know it feels disconnected, but the more and more you rely on it, the less skills you're building for yourself, right? The more dependency that you're building. So I like that. You're going to challenge yourself to go without a GPS. And I will challenge myself to stop asking Alexa, what time is it? And what's the weather like today? And just, look it up myself. That's fair.
All right, let's do it. We'll check in with each other next week and see how well
Let's
we
do
did.
it. I mean, I made a very low commitment suggestion there. It sounds like it, but I ask Alexa like 17 times. Alexa, what time is it?
Really? It's that bad?
Even Alexa doesn't listen to me in this house, okay? She's like, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm like, it's really not that freaking difficult, Alexa. You have one job.
Well,
Anywho, thank you so much for another great episode, Ahmed. I love the discussions, a lot to think about. You promised me a story before this podcast began, and then you bailed on it.
What story?
Imam Ghazali's story. Now you have to
Oh
save it for
yeah.
another time.
No, it actually has to do with the AI. Because what happened, yeah, this is why the story was part of why I said I'd talk about it later. So Imam Al-Ghazali, he was traveling. He had all, he was a scholar. He had all his books with him. And he got stopped by like bandits.
Yes.
And they were gonna they're stealing his books. And he goes, listen, you don't need anything with them. Just leave them. And he's like, this has all my knowledge. And they say to him that if all your knowledge is in these books, then do you have any knowledge at all, really? And he said that he felt like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them say that to him. And it forced him now to reevaluate what knowledge meant. And he actually went and memorized and learned everything himself. So it wasn't in books, it was in him. And right
Wow.
now, this entire kind of society that we live in is the opposite, where people don't know
Yo,
anything.
not just don't know anything. Did you hear about that artist where Google deleted all of his content?
I did hear the story, but I don't now. You see how much stuff I go through. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like our knowledge is external to us. And so what we put out into the world, it's all saved on these clouds. And technically, we're borrowing space from them to hold all of this. I'm really glad I remembered that story. And I'm like, that this is exactly it because it's both parts of it, right? If we're investing in ourselves and we're building ourselves, then we need to contain the knowledge within us, make that effort, and then also make sure that we protect what we're producing and not allowing it to live where it doesn't belong to us.
And this is the thing, like 2 points really. One is what you're saying about this, like everything is online now, and you're just constantly paying, like as a very basic example. Let's say Netflix. You used to own your DVD to watch the
I
movie.
know.
Now you pay every month to rent that movie. So you don't own anything. You're just renting constantly whatever it is that you need, whether it's space for your hard drive, anything that you need. It's becoming more and more you don't own anything. And the same thing with knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't there that whole that scandal with Audible when they canceled people's book subscriptions because they had a disagreement with the author or something and people had paid for the book, but then they no longer had access to it because the company that was like giving them access to
I
the
didn't
book had
hear
a
about that
disagreement
one.
with the author. Yeah, yeah. So it's all this like when you're buying digital material or when you're even putting things out digitally, ownership, right? Like where is it and where does it belong? This artist, I didn't read the full story, so if anybody has like whatever comments on it, put it in the chat as well. But apparently, yeah, he lost his life's work because Google deleted him. And to
And
me, that is insane. Like everything you're putting out there just no longer existing. Your life's work just ceasing to exist because you didn't own it to begin with, or you didn't own the space that it lived in.
but the one thing, we'll end off with this. You almost ended it off, but then you reminded me of these stories about the
I'm
AI
glad
because
I
you got
did.
off on a tangent. But the other thing is, if you think about the Islamic tradition and you memorize the Quran, but also beyond that, that memorization of the Quran, knowledge is meant to enter your heart and transform you. It's supposed to be internalized, right? It's not supposed to be in the Quran constantly. أفلا تعقلون أفلا تذكرون أفلا
تدبرون
يتدبرون
تفكرون,
القرآن. Do they not think about, do they not think, do they not understand, do they not reflect on the Quran? This is a constant theme. It's not just about the memorization part, which I think is incredibly important and powerful, but that constant message in the Quran to
Another
think,
respect.
go out into the earth. We had that ayah we heard, but go out into the earth and learn. We created you tribes and people so that you can get to know each other. This is constantly in the Quran. Allah is talking
100%.
about giving you examples. How are you going to know the example of the bee in the Quran if you've never seen a bee or interacted with it? How are you going to know the example of the bird if you have not sat there and pondered about the bird and the ocean and the mountains, right? Like, this is all imagery Allah has given you in the Quran. You're supposed to go out there and think about it and just ponder. You know, he talks about people that when they're sitting and they're on their sides and they think about the creation of Allah, right? And here we are just like putting a couple of prompts into the thing and tell me what to think. And honestly, it's such a
Yeah,
crutch and it makes it so
100%.
easy.
100%. We just, with this week is, it's so funny that you bring this up because we were in our leadership meetings, one of them that we had, we were discussing exactly this thinking. And it was like thinking about thinking and how to think and, you know, the levels of thinking. And it's just a very interesting thing. And that's exactly what came to my mind was at one point someone asked, is thinking a skill or a talent? Like some people are they're born with it. This, you know, like you meet people who are, you know, they just have this inspiration, you know, this like they're creative, they're this. But then also that's what first came to my mind was that the Quran constantly instructs you to do this, meaning that you're also you're asked to actively build this skill, right? It's not like Allah gave you a capacity for cognition, right? The Descartes' famous, I think, therefore I am. So we know that we have the ability for cognition, but it's also, you're asked to expand this. You're absolutely right. Like, and I remember when I was sitting in the haram and I was watching a bird over me and it was gliding in the air. And I was just marveling, subhanAllah, at this bird. And that ayah comes to mind. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on it. This is embarrassing. But the one where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, you know, that it is him that's holding those birds up in the sky, right?
Yeah. Surah
There's Rahman, right?
Al-Mulk.
Surah Al-Mulk, yes. But I cannot recall the ayah right now. But anyways, it's that Quran is like, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that's constantly directing you to ponder upon it, to live it, to experience it, to internalize it. And it is so different from the surface level knowledge that we have right now, where information is at the
The
tip of
ayah
the
is أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا إِلَى الطَّيْرِ فَوْقَهُمْ
uh-huh.
صَافَّاتٍ وَيَقْبِضْنَ مَا
Yes, yes.
يَمْسِكْهُنَّ إِلَّا
Thank you.
الرَّحْمَنُ إِنَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ بَصِيرٌ.
Thank you. Allah barik fik ya Rab. Yes. And it's also the experience it part, like you said, travel, meet, see, because that's how the Quran comes to life. That's how your knowledge comes to life, right? Anyhow, that was
And
a very long. Oh, sorry. Please go.
I was just gonna say one more thing because the ayah that I was sharing, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ, is they do not reflect upon the Quran. But the second part of the ayah is really interesting because it says, أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. It says, or are there locks on their hearts? It's not saying their brain. And I don't know, like, if like, how powerful and beautiful that is because it's supposed to enter the heart. And I've
Yeah.
always made this case, and you know, Allahu Alam, but that they will at some point find that there is an emotional kind of brain in the heart. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I feel like
Oh,
at one point science will discover that there is like an emotional brain in the heart. I don't know. Maybe this is just
Allahu a'lam.
Ahmed's theory time. Just a theory.
Somebody write it down. We'll circle back in 10 years and and laugh at him. No, I'm just joking.
But, you know, like this is the thing. So it's like
Yeah,
thinking in the heart. It
100%.
has to, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
connect
yeah.
and
But
actually make
subhanAllah,
me.
but that's the part that, like, to me, I've never thought of it that way. That's very interesting. But I always thought of it that the dissociation of like these secular schools of thought of the body and like compartmentalizing it into your physical being, your mental being, and then mostly leaving out your spiritual being. And subhanAllah, now we're recircling back to this holistic treatment of a person, right? That there is that interaction. Because we know, and Yani, that the heart's role in all of this, 100%, you cannot have cognition without your heart's involvement because it is the qalb, and this is where I think of it as like a more of like a metaphysical thing, is largely responsible for the principles and the ethics and the guidance and the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all of that. But this is a very deep conversation that is not meant to be brought up as we wrap up an episode. I'm just kidding.
You know, like
I love how
I
we're
know
always
we have
like,
to end it
and one
now.
more thing, and one more thing. Every time one of us talks, the other one's like, you just triggered a thought in my head.
This is what you know, my whole goal with this podcast was for this. I wanted to have time to just talk, you
Yeah.
know, and bring up different points and see where it goes and just let things develop, because again, I go through so much information, not, you know, constantly through the week, and I don't listen to music, and I hardly watch any TV. It's very little bit. So I'm constantly getting all this information in my head, and I want to talk it out. And how can you talk all this stuff out? You know? So I'm like, I want to do a podcast, and even if it's 2 hours, 3 hours, it's okay. I put it out there. We'll start connecting with some people that maybe think like us, or maybe will tell us, listen, guys, you guys are crazy. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Someone's playing this on 2x speed, going like, they're still
BSI.
talking about it. No,
For
but
real.
seriously,
But
I
anyways,
agree with you. SubhanAllah. But 100%, yes. You're welcome, Ahmed. It has been a pleasure joining you again. Inshallah, I will see you next week. Don't forget, everybody, smash all the buttons, push all the things, like, share, subscribe, and follow us on our socials.
Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.